Internet's awake, everybody. Let's make sure the internet is awake. It looks like it's waking up. It looks like it gave us another day. But you know me, I always wait until I see the actual YouTube saying, yes, you're alive. Oh, permission has been granted. How about that? The internet said, yes, you can have another day. And I said, thank you. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good future. Are you watching in Australia? What's the future like? Did we make it another day? Is the climate still holding up? I'm a little bit relieved, I guess. Shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. Before we move forward, happy Music Monday, by the way, and happy Black Cat Appreciation Day. Both those things are going on. We're going to be talking about them. Shout out to ZT.com, ZHITEA.com, ZHITEA.com, ZT.com. Their tea kind of rules. You can get their tea in bulk because of the pandemic. It's an amazing tea shop based in Austin, Texas, but you can get their stuff online, and it's run by a friend of the show, Jeffrey, awesome lefty, runs a great tea shop. Get some of their tea. It's awesome. They supply the tea for Get Your News On with Ron, and they do a great job. The Raspberry Pecan is my personal favorite. You'd think he would rename it, call it Ron's Raspberries, but that sounds weird and kind of creepy, and like that could be a weird sexual thing. I don't want that to happen, but it's a great tea. So try it, ZT.com. Also, our friends over at Triage Oil, they make pain oil that you rub on your body, and it works wonders for sunburns, which, Ron, do you have any experience with that? I'm shocked. No, I do. And it's done wonder for my sunburns this summer, and works really great on your joints. I use it on my neck. You guys know I was in a crazy car accident in 2013. My neck's never been the same. It'll probably never really be the same ever, but this oil has done more for it than anything else has. And I'm 100% serious. TriageOil.com, TRIAGE oil.com. And are you wondering, Ron, what about the CBD that I ingest? Do you got me covered? Yes, I do. Rare Naturals with an S, CBD.com. RareNaturalsCBD.com. It's natural CBD oil that you can put in your drink, that you can put under your tongue. I like a little drop in my seltzer water. It relaxes you, puts you in a good mood. It loosens your joints. It's great after a workout, or if you feel a headache coming on, it helps prevent that. That's when I use it. So go to RareNaturalsCBD.com. Best part is use the promo code Lucy at checkout, especially for Black Cat Appreciation Day. Come on, use the promo code Lucy at checkout, and you get 30% off your order. So again, that's RareNaturalsCBD.com. All right, without further ado, I got some awesome guests today. You know of their work. They are in the band Eve 6. Please welcome Max and John from Eve 6. What's up, guys? Thanks for being here.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you. So first, we're going to get our news on. And, John, you actually helped with some of the news stories today. And then we're going to chat it up. We're going to get a little bit about you guys and about the band and about how you're both pretty big lefties. And you've been very vocal about that as of recent. So we're going to dive into all that. First, we'll start with the Postal Service. So, I don't know about you guys. The whole assault on the Postal Service for years now has just completely baffled me. The most basic component being it's not called the postal business. It's called the Postal Service, which means it's supposed to provide a service. First of all, it's not. I mean, people make it out like it's financially in bad shape. It actually isn't. The only reason they try to say it is because they borrow from the Postal Service all the time. But even if it was, it's the Postal Service. You know what it's supposed to do? It's supposed to provide a service, which is low-cost shipping all over the frickin' world, which, guess what? It does that. The other thing it's supposed to do is it's supposed to be run by citizens who live in a country, and it's supposed to provide them a salary. Oh, guess what? It does that too. Hence, it's working just great.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's crazy. I mean, anytime there's any sort of public service, it seems like, they just, whether it's the neolibs or the conservatives, they just figure out a way to chip away at it. And now it's just an all-out assault,
Well, does it blow your guys' mind? Like, and I know you guys have toured all over the world, right? I mean, you guys have gone all over the world with Eve 6.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, have you seen in other countries where kind of our attitude, not like our, like the people here, but like our, the United States attitude towards government is just so different than a lot of other parts in the world, where they would just sort of be like, what are you talking about? The government is like in Denmark, if it's like, taxes, they'd be like, what do you mean? Half of my family works for the government, and the government is, I pay my taxes so that I get these great social services that are performed by people I know in a lot of the cases. And that's how a society functions. What do you mean the Postal Service isn't making enough money? How is that even an objective for them? It'd be like saying the Postal Service doesn't have my favorite muffins, so it should be gone. like it just doesn't make sense to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in some of the more, socially democratic countries, it's like they see at least some of the fruits of their, what they're paying in taxes. So whether it's healthcare or, any other sort of public service here, we do pay a lot of taxes, and what does it go to? Like, 700 and whatever, $800 billion a year to the military. No one ever asks, like, where's the return on that? I mean, I guess there is a return on that, but it's not a positive one. But it's just, in some of these other, while still capitalist, at least socially democratic countries, they're at least seeing something in return, which we just don't.
That's a big part of the problem too. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was in Scotland, I was at the immigration center, and they did this like pie chart saying where all their budget went and it was just like, the arts, education, healthcare, and like all these other things. And I realized we can't ever have anything like that in the United States. I wish we did, because it would wake a lot of people up. But if we did, it would just be like the entire circle would just be war. And then like a little sliver, it was just like everything else. Screw you.
Yep. Basically.
So let's take a look at this. So here's what's going on as of recent. Pelosi calls the House back from recess as outrage mounts over turmoil at the U.S. Postal Service. So apparently House Speaker Pelosi has called the Congress back. And what they're going to do is they're going to have an urgent vote. It's going to happen this week to stop changes at the U.S. Postal Service until, at least after the election. Democrats demand for funding to bolster election security and $25 billion to support the Postal Service. And Democrats are demanding that Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, a major Trump donor, that they all testify before Congress. So, guys, how selfless is this that Congress is taking time out from their paid vacation that they earned very much after spending all this?
It's rough. I feel really bad for Pelosi.
So bad.
Having to work so hard to take care of this. It's really sad.
They spent all this time and effort telling us that we don't deserve any relief during a pandemic. They earned this vacation clearly, and they have to cut it a little short. Crazy.
Filled with fancy ice cream and beaches and a paycheck still. So,
Very true. Very true. Well, what do you think's gonna? Do you think they're actually gonna do anything this week? Let's start there.
Man, I don't know. Do you think they're gonna do anything, Max?
If I were a betting man, I'd say probably not. Probably some noise and some sort of signaling, and not a lot of actionable movement.
Have you guys seen it? Because I know we're all in the Los Angeles area. I've not seen anything firsthand. I've seen stuff online, though. But have you guys seen any tampering of mailboxes where you're at or anything like that?
I haven't seen it here, but a buddy of mine posted a picture last night of some boxes in, like, I think it was like North Hollywood or something like that, with the red like block, so you can't put mail in there. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Well, it's right on the surface. Like, they're not even trying to conceal it right now. Like, they're just like, we're just gonna go after the. And what a lot of people don't realize, it's like, okay, if this happens, and this is just an objective truth, like, Trump's for sure gonna win. If they manage to suppress the vote, I mean, if two things go unchecked, one of them being, the Postal Service, because of the pandemic, there's going to be a lot of vote by mail. The other thing being, hey, at the end of September, 40 million people are on track to lose their homes. Because once the eviction moratoriums are lifted, 40 million people are going to lose their homes. Not only is that absolutely disgusting, it's something needs to be done to keep people in their homes, but if both those things happen, like, Trump's for sure going to win. That's just objectively, like, no Republican can lose under those scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the way this all works is so rigged in the first place. You know, everything from the, you know, from the way the Democratic platform works to the, you know, just, you know.
Wait, are you suggesting there was a problem in the primary? John, the people chose Joe Biden.
I know they did. You know, maybe to some degree that's true, but it's all because of things like this, you know, whatever sort of, you know, gerrymandering, voter suppression, closing polls. It's like, you know, they can't say they switched, you know, you can't say, oh, they switched the vote, but if they close a poll and people can't vote, then
in Iowa they did.
Basically did. Yeah, no, I know.
They did in Iowa. So they actually did do that somewhere. It's
insane. I mean, it's the whole, I mean, on both sides, it's absolute insanity. You know, the Democrats steal it from each other, and then the Republicans steal it from the Democrats. I mean, it's insane.
Well, and in the end, it's just upholding the status quo. You know, the Democrats do it during the primary to make sure no progressives get through. And then the Republicans do it in the general to make sure, hey, we're the people that are most on the surface saying we care about the donors. The Democrats have to be a little more subtle about it. So occasionally a concession happens here and there.
I don't feel like Joe Biden's even that subtle about it, though. I mean, he's pretty out and out about the, you know, who's pulling the strings. So
that's a very, very excellent point. Max, what about you? You a big Biden guy? Are you sold? Are you convinced?
Yeah, he's just such an inspiring candidate. You know, he just fills me with like a white hot passion, and I'm just so moved, compelled, really, to just, you know, hit the streets in support of the man.
Have you guys seen any Biden signs around you?
No.
And we live in Southern California.
I saw a Bloomberg sticker the other day on the freeway, but no Biden signs.
Well, on somebody's car?
Yeah.
It
was like, I mean, I'm sure he got paid to put it on there, but of course. Nonetheless, I did see a Bloomberg sticker.
Was it a nice car?
Yeah. I mean, it was, you know, it was basically what you would expect.
So like a Lamborghini.
No, it was like a Prius or something.
All right.
I wouldn't expect that, actually.
Yeah.
Prius, I'm thinking like, come on, at least like Warren, not Bloomberg.
Right. Maybe it wasn't a Prius. It was something like that. Some sort of economy car. Nice economy car, though. You know.
All right, it wasn't IROC. I'll tell you the truth.
I still have my Bernie Sanders bumper sticker on my white BMW 3 Series with black leather interior.
Nice. Do you still get some thumbs up?
I do, yeah.
Nice.
I do. Yeah. Had some nice moments with folks for sure.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, right now, like, it's just like, okay, we're going to go back to work to try to, quote, save the Postal Service. But you know what? We might not be in this situation in the first place if they didn't stamp this stuff out as it was occurring so often over the years. And you can find footage of Joe Biden demonizing Social Security. You know, when you have one party that just demonizes social programs and another one that casually goes along with it, this is what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the Democratic Party is just basically a shield, you know, to protect the fash, basically. You know, I mean, they perform, you know, they perform a little song and dance that makes you think that they're the opposition, but at the end of the day, they're really, their only function is to make sure that nobody on the left gets anything through. You know.
Why do you guys think more people in Hollywood aren't in tune with this? Like just everything you just said.
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with class interests, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when you're, you know, not everyone, but I think, you know, for the most part, when you're loaded, you fall into a certain, you know, a certain social atmosphere, and that's, you know, that's the line of thinking in that.
They want to enjoy the optics of progressivism, but not actually, you know, lose any of what they, you know, think is theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I saw like a ton of Warren stuff, you know, throughout the primary, like in you know, Hollywood and Hollywood adjacent places, and you know, my first thought was like, well, I get it. Actors want to stick with other actors. You know, they kind of see that a lot. They're just like, you know, she's doing a great job pretending she's for progressive policies. It's a really convincing role she's doing. You know, she was a Republican until 47. She's really crushing it in this. She's crushing it.
Yeah.
But so let's go here. We're going to stick with electoral politics for a hot minute. Then we're going to get off of it because I can only do so much of it before I just get angry. It's like only so much. You do a little bit and then you're like, all right, other news, because this is just ridiculous. But this is going on. So in Southern Florida, I'm sure you guys are you guys familiar with, well, let me ask you first. Are you familiar with Jen Perlman, who's running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that election is on Tuesday, folks. So get out there, and I do encourage you all to support Jen Perlman, who is trying to unseat Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This happened the other day over the weekend. So a Jen Perlman volunteer was allegedly shoved. Here, let's hear what she has to say.
What's up, TikTok? I really need your help to blow this up. Pretty much, my name is Martina Velasquez. I'm from Broward County, Florida, and I've been a political advocate since I was a child. Right now, I'm campaigning for Jen Perlman in District 23. Jen Perlman is up against a monster, and her name is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And I want to tell y'all about my experience with Debbie yesterday. I'm not only a child at the age of 16, but I'm also a constituent and an activist, and a very specific a climate activist. When I was handing out palm cards to voters and explaining how Debbie was not endorsed by any climate activists other than the Sierra Club, which is historically racist, she ended up shoving me more than once and calling me a liar to my face. This is my congresswoman, and that's exactly why we gotta get her out. I have 2 days until election day. Now I'm begging you, please spread this and vote Jen. We need change. What's up?
Quite a story. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be fair and say allegedly, because they didn't have any video evidence of this. So, but I mean, I believe her. I don't think she would lie about that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I tend to believe her as well. Just given the track record.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, would that surprise anybody that she would do something like that? Like, not in the slightest. And you know what?
It almost kind of reminds me of why, or whatever that Joe Biden thing was. You know, it's like people just flip. You know, any sort of pressure.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And were you guys impressed? I mean, that's pretty. And you guys can probably relate to this because you guys had a lot of success very young. And that's pretty impressive. 16 years old. She's out there doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, actually, as I was watching that, I was like, I actually do have a lot of hope and admiration for the younger generation. These Zoomers really, are leagues beyond where we were at 16,
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, someone tweeted the other day, they were like, you millennials better not forget about us Zoomers. And I retweeted it and I was like, we love you guys. It's not going to happen. Honestly, we just want you to take over now. We'll just help you. Like, well, like you guys can take over now. We could just, because I mean, you kind of look at our bench, so to speak, and you see people like Pete Buttigieg, and you see people like Joe Kennedy, and you want to just be like, you know what? We'll just skip our turn.
We'll skip this
one. We'll be the creatives and the artists, and we'll just help you guys take over. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
But so yeah, that's the one inspiring thing. 16 years old, she's doing that. Do you guys think the voting age should be 16?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do. I think at 16, you know, I think you're totally capable of making that decision. You know, I would be fine with that.
Any 16-year-old that would get themselves to a polling place, you know, I think has a point of view and probably knows what their interests are, you know?
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually more controversial than the three of us would make it seem, though. Like, I mean, I've felt that way for a long time, and I've been vocal about it. I was like, I think the voting age should be 16. And one of the things that really made me feel that way, you know, I used to do a lot of colleges, like perform at a lot of colleges. Did you guys ever do colleges, or did you just? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you guys do like NACA conferences and stuff like that even?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, we've played a lot of college campuses over the years, and in the early days, we did a whole, what was it, 1998, 1999 campus invasion, MTV campus invasion tour.
Oh, that's right.
Where, I mean, we played, I mean, it was like 2 months of college campuses every night.
So when I would do colleges, like I was billed as a political act, which is actually these days becoming more and more of a rare thing. But, you know, I would do a Q&A after every time. And I would always ask, like, you know, who's going to go out and vote? Because a lot of times it was like election years when I would get booked the most. And the kids that wouldn't raise their hands, I'd be like, hey, just out of curiosity, why? And 100% of the time it was because I'm not old enough. And that was one of the things that really, I was like, these are engaged, active, young people. And, you know, guess what? I get it. At 16, you're not old enough to be sent to war, but you're voting for the people who might try to send you to war in 2 years. And if you're old enough to drive a vehicle, you're old enough to cast a vote.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, I think that, you know, looking on the bright side of it, you know, what this particular 16-year-old has gotten right is direct action. You know, I mean, I know she's working on a campaign, but it seems like she's a, you know, climate activist. And you know, I think that that's something that, I mean, even if it's something as silly as these, you know, these kids that booked all the tickets to the Donald Trump rally, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, direct action is, you know, in my opinion, more effective than voting for, you know, representative politicians anyways. So I'm glad to see that they're at least, you know, taking that into their hands, because I wasn't doing direct action at 16, that's for sure.
I wasn't doing anything at 16. I wasn't, I mean, I had no political opinions at all. I just wasn't aware of it. I played in a little garage band. We weren't as successful as you guys, but I played in a little garage band, and I wanted girls to like me, and that was all I did at 16. Like, that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it took me till my mid to late 30s to become radicalized. So
really,
I'm way behind. So it's nonetheless, it's very refreshing to see you know, a lot of actual action from these kids, because I ultimately think that that's more important than anything, you know.
I think so too. I mean, I think that, you know, and I tweeted this recently. I was like, if you think we can just vote our way out of this and do nothing else, you're crazy. Like, it's going to take it's going to take forming alliances in communities. It's going to take a general strike. It's going to take a rent strike. It's going to take, you know, mobilizing different cause-based initiatives. Like you mentioned, climate activism. It's going to take activism in other fronts too, picking a cause, getting in your lane. It's going to take, you know, forming coalitions. Some people are going to run for office. Other people are going to do direct action. And you got to, like, take your city back. It's going to take all those things and nothing less.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you look at just, you know, the past couple of months, while we haven't moved, you know, nearly far enough, I mean, you know, more sort of results have come from, you know, people being in the streets and fighting back than they have in the past, you know, 60 years of electoral politics, you know. So granted, it needs to go way farther, but, you know, the concessions that we have gotten, you know, have come from people outraged in the streets, basically.
Yeah.
And organized, you know.
Well, what are you hoping as far as like the future of organization goes? Like, where do you want to see things kind of pivot next?
I mean, I've definitely, I think the bottom line is that, in whatever way is right for you, get involved and organize. So I think there's a lot of different ways of doing that. Whether it's, through unions at your work, organizing your people at work, joining, any number of different socialist organizations, or, there's all kinds of different organizations out there. And, I think you got to find your place that you feel comfortable and join and get your feet on the ground and do work. And, the more that happens, the more there's the possibility for alliances between, organizations and consciousness, amongst everyone. I think that's where I don't know that there's any one answer, like,
sure, of course,
to like, okay, well, we're just going to start this third party, and build that up. Like, that's great. I'm glad, but like, it can't just be that, it's got to be organization from, by the masses, basically. And, I feel like whatever makes the most sense for you is the best, is the best thing to do. Definitely, Twitter is important, but getting off Twitter and hitting the streets is a lot more important,
Now you're just talking crazy, John. I don't know if I can go there. Max, what do you think?
Well, Sweet Pea, as I call him, John, is responsible in large part for radicalizing me to the extent that I have been. But yeah, I'm a single dad that does an awful lot of retweeting. That's kind of the extent of my action. But yeah, I would like to see similar levels of, people hitting the streets for the M4A cause, and like really being unrelenting about that. And I think that, that we'll probably see it, but just out of sheer suffering, but yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of people are, and more people are realizing this. About 70% of the American public wants Medicare for all now, and I think it's so like just glaringly apparent that if we didn't have healthcare tied to employment, everything else would be so much more attainable. Like I'm for a general strike. That is infinitely harder when for so many people in this country, their healthcare is tied to their job.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And not to mention, what unionizing, what unions do exist. They spend 90% of their time fighting for their healthcare benefits, Yeah. Whereas, if we could just get that out of the equation and just make it a human right, then unions would be able to go to the table and bargain for higher wages and, whatever sort of actions that are actually going to help these, working people, not just getting them, the best shitty healthcare plan that they can get,
So I guess in closing, before we move on here, shout out to Martina. That's awesome that you're doing that. Thanks for being a climate activist. Thanks for volunteering for Jen. And Jen Perlman, the election's tomorrow, gen2020.com. I know we're not big electoral politics enthusiasts right now on this panel, but if Jen Perlman can unseat unseating Deborah Wasserman, I would love to see that too. I'd love to see it too. So go Jen Perlman, gen2020.com. All right. So John, I had not heard about this until now. This next story I saw from your timeline and I grabbed it for the show today. That's one of the things that I'll do here is sometimes I'll I'll get news from my guest in addition to sharing news with my guests. And that happened today. Unfortunately, this is very horrible news, but
yeah, absolutely.
But news nonetheless. There was another fatal police shooting, and this one happened right in my neighborhood. I live in Pasadena, California, and this happened right in Pasadena. This is from the Pasadena Black Pages. Community members say Anthony McLean killing was uncalled for and unjustified. So this was shortly after 8 p.m. A man who has been identified as Anthony McLean, 32 years old, of Pasadena. He was wounded and later succumbed to his injury after the incident. Witnesses say police approached his car with their guns out, ordered him out of his car. They were exchanging words. McLean started to run from police officers. Officers were in pursuit, and one officer pulled out his weapon and shot McLean in the back. As McLean went to the ground, the officer shot him 2 more times. That was when one of several pedestrians at the scene yelled out to the officer not to shoot again. Officers later say they found a gun. Witnesses say they never saw a weapon. And when McLean ran past them, he had nothing in his hands. Pasadena police also tased a man who the crowd says was no threat to them. Bully tactics, one bystander said. After they tased that man, ready for this, folks? Police maced a 10-year-old child as they consciously sprayed a crowd who was voicing their anger toward police about the shooting. A 10-year-old child. You know, in Seattle, they maced an 80-year-old woman, and then I think recently in one of the Black Lives Matter protests, they maced an 8-year-old. Now they're macing a 10-year-old. I think at this rate, eventually they're just going to mace what an infant? Is that going to be next? It's unbelievable.
I mean, we do it in other countries, I guess. So why not just bring it on home now?
Yeah. So here's some footage that's been posted so far. So this is after the fact.
I mean, watch. We going belly, nigga. Come in. Straight up.
So that's blood.
He was trying to kill him right in my face. Y'all shot this man 3 times in his back while he was running from y'all. Y'all mad because y'all couldn't keep up? So you go kill him? The fuck?
So they're pointing at the blood on the ground. They're saying that this man was running, his back was turned. The police are claiming that he had a gun, and the police are claiming that he reached for it. No witness accounts corroborate that so far. No one's saying, yes, he reached for a gun. Which, first of all, if he did have a gun on his person and was running away, that doesn't justify anything.
He's not pointing it at them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't justify anything.
I think that it even needs to be backed up one step more, which is that they were pulled over for like a vehicle. I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but a window tinter.
He was just pulled over. Yeah,
they were just pulled over because their vehicle wasn't up to code in one way or another. And I guess I would say, why are armed soldiers doing that job in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, send them a damn ticket in the mail or something. But like why does someone armed and ready to shoot need to be out there worrying about a broken side view mirror or whatever? You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
It just makes no sense.
Why don't we have different types of officers? Why don't we have like traffic enforcement? And they don't have a gun because they don't freaking need one.
Right.
And they have a body cam and they pull people over and they say, hey, you have a busted taillight. Here's a warning. Or, hey, you got
absolutely.
The law enforcement officials say trope in journalism is also such a joke. It's like the fact that you know what I mean, is sort of that's always at least part of the lead. And they're gonna say an awful lot to protect
themselves
interests.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like they will put that little thing like where it's like the law enforcement claims alleged, but they still, like, as you indicated, they run with that story as if it's like when law enforcement gives their side of the story, that is the official story until proven otherwise.
Right. And all the news outlets just run with that version of the story, and that's it, you know. And they always say like, oh, we're conducting an internal investigation. It's like, okay, well, first of all, you're investigating yourself, so bullshit, you know. And second of all, they just say that and then, you know, hope that people kind of just move on to the next thing, and you know, a couple months down the line they come out with whatever, and worst case these guys get reassigned to another precinct, and they just keep going on, you know. I mean, it's awful.
Well, it's a horrible system, and they drag their feet as long as they can on prosecuting anybody because they want to make sure that it's out of the public spotlight before they do anything.
Exactly.
And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
It all changed under Kamala Harris, though.
Oh yeah, no, like I have a feeling you're right about that.
Yeah, man.
She's one of the good cops.
She's gonna fix all this. She's got it.
Yeah.
She's gonna fix all this. She
has a great track record. So
her and Biden both, they're gonna put their heads together and they're gonna be like, okay, we only throw them in jail for pot and shoot them in the leg. We fixed it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally fixed. And actually, I think the problem is they're not funded enough. So, you know, let's give them a little more money for training and you know, and military vehicles.
Yeah, no kidding. A town of 7,000 people needs a tank. They for sure need that tank so they can make a really dumb decision on a Saturday night someday. They need that tank.
Exactly.
I mean, it's to the point, and that's why, like, I've always been one of those people where I'm just like, no, I don't say, oh, we just need to reform them. No, that ship has sailed. You can't reform this. The dog agrees. The dog agrees with us.
That's Ziggy.
Ziggy, what's up, buddy?
You can see him. I don't know where he is. Anyways,
he's running around. He's excited.
He just got fixed the other day, so he's running around with a cone on his head. And
buddy,
very pissed.
He does a lot of barking when we're tracking vocals as well. He's
there's going to be some good barks on the next record.
Nice. But he does, like, during regular practice, he's fine. But it's like the vocal tracking where he's like,
it's right when you don't want him to bark.
He's like, I got the low harmony. Come on, I'm the low harmony. We need me.
Here we go. Here he comes.
Ziggy, what's up, man? Oh,
buddy.
Nice. It's
been a rough couple days.
Is he young? Is he a really young dog then, or?
He's about 2. He's about 2.
That's awesome.
So I'm actually fostering him. His owner, like right at the beginning of lockdown, lost her job and had to move out of her place and couldn't take him with her. So I've had him for a couple months now.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Till she gets back on her feet, but it's going to be pretty hard to give him back at this point, you know.
Well, we do have an animal story today. So are you guys both dog people, or are you cat people, or just animal people?
2 cats. I got one of my guys right here. This cat is also named Max. I didn't name him. I too acquired him from friends who had to get rid of him and his brother. But yeah, they're good boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm a big animal lover in general, but I do have a cat as well. Her name is Lucy. And today is actually, Max, do you have a black cat?
They're both pretty much exactly the same, black, gray, and white tabbies. But Black Cat Day.
Today is Black Cat Appreciation Day, so I had to do something for it because I do have a black cat named Lucy, and she even has her own webcomic, which we did a Black Cat Appreciation Day comic last year, which you can check that out at LucyandRon.com. So I had to give a shout out to my cat Lucy. And
what's up, Lucy?
What's up? Here, let me. Hey, can you get Lucy? Can you? My executive producer / wife is gonna grab the cat, and because this is Black Cat Appreciation Day, so I will have her say hi to everybody. And she did not want to be bothered, but she's
Lucy's a great name.
Thank you. My roommate named her in college because that's how far back we go. But happy Black Cat Appreciation Day, Lucy. And for all you viewers, if you really want to show your appreciation for Lucy on this Black Cat Appreciation Day, become a patron. That's where all her treat money comes from. Patreon.com/Ron
But a little montage with the Janet Jackson song in the back.
Which song?
Black Cat.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, totally.
Rhythm Nation.
Good call. That is happening. Buckle in, Lucy. We got a project later. But yeah, and again, you can check out that comic at lucyaron.com. So I had to give a shout out for Black Cat Appreciation. But I'm a total animal lover. When I first moved to town, my side gig to get situated in Los Angeles, I was a pet sitter. So I used to do that. Yeah, I used to do that. And I actually miss sometimes I want to like email some of my old some of my old clients and just see how their dogs are doing. But then I'm worried that might be, a little intrusive. I don't know. I
get attached to him. I get it. Yeah,
you really do. And I'm just like I want it. And I'm just like, hey, I know I used to be the guy. How's Milo? And I get too shy. I never do it. People tell me I should, but
do it.
As the years go by, eventually they're going to be like, you were like 6 dog walkers ago. So, but what are you going to do? So let's see here. I wanted to do one more thing with you guys that is music related. And this is something that I've been covering on the show a fair amount because it's, very important. It doesn't just pertain to music. It pertains to live performance in general. I don't know about you guys. I canceled an entire year's worth of tour dates. And so did you guys have to do did you guys have a lot scheduled, or were you touring a lot this year, or not a lot, or what?
We had a whole 20th anniversary tour for Horoscope planned. It was about over 2 months worth of touring, and it was supposed to be April, May. So at this point it's postponed, but we're really hoping that we can make it happen next year, but it's definitely not happening anytime before then.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to do. So we recently, actually, we made this executive decision, which I'm really excited about. A lot of comedians, we just kind of do weekends because we'll do comedy clubs and stuff like that at times. But our tour, we just do independent venues because we do single nights and stuff like that. So we'll actually play a lot of rock clubs and stuff like that. So we decided we're going to do it band style from now on. Because we want to do more worldwide stuff. So from now on, we're just going to get in the van and go and do one city a night instead of just we were doing one region a month where we were flying out, doing 3 or 4 shows, flying home, which in some ways that's cool because you're not away from home for as long. But in other ways, it's exhausting because you feel like you should just start paying rent at LAX. And then, it's more fun to just knock it all out and really get in the van. So we're going to be doing just a 5-week thing. And I'm thinking if you shoot for fall 2021, you're playing it safe because by then there's got to be a vaccine by then.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
But I know right now, most things are being booked, sort of starting around that time.
Well, have you seen how some music festivals, they literally just scratched out 2020 and just put 2021 and everything else to say. And then some of the bands that can, they just scratch them out, but they're just we're just moving it over.
And even that is optimistic in a lot of cases, I think. So,
I know. It's tough. Oh, it's so sad. I mean, one of the first things I want to do when all this is over is I want to see some live music. I mean, I miss it so much.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, and you can kind of do, with an outdoor socially distanced setting, you can kind of recreate it a little bit, but it's rough. Have you guys done any Zoom type stuff?
We've done a few little acoustic, acoustic type performances. But so far that's about it. We actually have some new music that we were kind of waiting until after tour to put out, but now we're going to go ahead and start putting that out. So I think once that comes out, we'll do a proper online show. But we'll see how that goes. Definitely not the same though.
No, it's not quite the same. I mean, I've seen some kind of cool stuff out there. Like I know, do you guys know who Todd Snyder is, the alt country guy out of Nashville?
No,
I'm a big fan of him, but he does a thing every Sunday to try to help this one venue in town. Like it's a really cool venue, like right in his neighborhood. So every Sunday he just does a set just by himself and live streams it and like takes donations for the venue. So, I mean, stuff like that's always cool, but it's just like, man. But the big problem is a lot of these venues. I mean, I can say from our experience, out of all the tour dates we canceled, 2 of the venues are no longer with us now. 2 of them like just did not make it at all. And there's a initiative out there called Save Our Stages. And here's an update from it from an outlet out in Richmond. Richmond area music venues urge Congress to save our stages. Campaign organizers with Save Our Stages want you to reach out to lawmakers in D.C. and tell them to save our stages. So there's 2 pieces of policy attached to this. So we're going to go to saveourstages.com. There's 2 different acts. One of them provides grants to music venues. The other provides loans that are mostly forgiven, but not all of it. So it's the Save Our Stages Act and the Restart Act. This is our final push to Congress. This is from saveourstages.com. There won't be another opportunity. We need the Save Our Stages Act and the Restart Act passed in order to keep independent venues nationwide from closing permanently. I personally have signed this already, and I have heard back from my congressperson, Judy Chu. Judy told me that she does support she supports the Restart Act. She's actually a co-sponsor of it, but she wasn't clear on whether or not she supports the actual Save Our Stages Act. We need people to support both. But, my congressperson at least supports one of them. And it wasn't clear. It was one of those form letters where they just said, I'm proud to support, copy and paste this policy. So it wasn't like it was a direct letter or anything. But this is going on. Have you guys heard of the Save Our Stages Act prior, or is this your first introduction?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's super important. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's like venues are just closing down left and right. And, the big problem is that it's the independent venues, and which just further, exacerbates the problem that we have in every aspect of our economy, which is just that, the few big concert promoters are going to still have their venues because they're, because they have all the money, and the smaller independent clubs and theaters and stuff like that can't make a go of it. So they're either going to shut down altogether, or they're going to get swooped up by the larger corporations. So it's super important. I actually right towards the beginning of quarantine, I got involved with some other folks in the business, and we're starting a new musicians union. It's called Union of Musicians and Allied Workers, UMAW. So
that's awesome.
Putting our support behind the Save Our Stages has been one thing. We've also been doing a lot in terms of making calls, when it came to in the first round, and now again about unemployment and focusing on how musicians are going to be basically the last ones to go back to work. So making sure or at least trying to get that extra unemployment money, et cetera.
That's awesome.
We're focused on all. It's kind of a new thing, but we're focused on all kinds of different aspects of musicians and other people who work in the music business. So we're just trying to again come together, join up with other things that are going on, as well as doing our own actions. But just trying to figure out a way to come together. It's tough. I think there's in music there's a lot of sort of rivalry, and it makes it tough to really come together, and really we need to, when it comes to anything, deals from record labels, or whatever it might be, streaming, issues with this, streaming royalties or,
John, I heard from the CEO of Spotify. You guys just need to make more music. Stop being lazy.
Just got to put out more music. That's all you got to do. And
that was so condescending.
So condescending and infuriating. So we're just focused on a lot of those issues and trying to come together collectively to where we can have a nice, strong group of, musicians, independent musicians, that can get together and say like, no, actually we need this,
So where can people go to learn more about that?
unionofmusicians.org. Let me make sure I'm getting that right.
All right.
I think it's unionofmusicians.org is our website. But if you just do a search for UMA, Union of Musicians.
UMA.
Yeah.
UMA. UMAW.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Unionofmusicians.org.
Perfect. Unionofmusicians.org. And everybody saveourstages.com, sign that petition. The Save Our Stages Act and the Restart Act. Save Our Stages provides grants to places that have lost over 25% of their business and music venues in particular. The Restart Act includes music venues and other institutions as well. And they provide very low interest loans and a lot of the loan is forgivable as well. We need both these things to go through. We need both of them. And I know the fact that, some of it's a loan, that means they eventually have to pay it back. That kind of sucks. Yeah, it does kind of suck. But between both of these things, between the grants and the part of the loan that's forgiven, for a lot of venues, this is going to be the difference between whether they get to stay open or not. So it's really important that we save them and, they can work out the other stuff later. So it is important. SaveOurStages.com and check out the unionofmusicians.org. And let's talk about you guys. So I got to ask this question. You guys were pretty young when you got the success with Inside Out. And I remember hearing on the radio that you wrote the lyrics to that song in study hall. First of all, is that true?
I'm going to let Max take this away.
All right.
Yes. Part of I think it was the second verse. It wasn't study hall. It was an English teacher's assistant class, which basically meant I just sat there anyway. I don't even remember what that was all about. It was with Mr. Who was that crazy English teacher that we bought the orange secondhand underwear for? Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom.
All right. Yeah. You got to tell this story now too. I mean, we can't just leave that there, Max. Like the guy I bought underwear for.
Yeah. No, he was. He was known for being quite cruel, and but I don't know. I kind of liked him, and I he didn't necessarily like me. I remember he kicked me out of his class once because I had him for English also, and then I had him. But he was just I don't know. He was kind of interesting to me. I don't remember all that much about him, other than the fact that I kind of wanted to. I kind of had the feeling that he had a sense of humor, and wanted to endear myself to him. So me and another friend in the class brought him a pair of orange boxer shorts that we'd gotten from like a Salvation Army or something like that. And we were reading. I remember in his class we read. I can never remember the name of this novel. It was by one of those. It was by a female author who wrote under a pseudonym. Died a slow, torturous, alcoholic death. What was her name?
Well, that could be a number of people.
Yeah, the main character in the novel was Frankie. And shoot, man. Anyway, the ugly sad thing lyric that's in Inside Out was like kind of plagiarized a little bit from that. And so I like yeah, I was just sitting in TA class, didn't have anything else to do. Already had kind of the first verse of this song, so I knew what the melody and kind of scan or rhythm was, and yeah, wrote that second verse in there. But that song had a couple different incarnations. When we were first doing it, it was sort of a kind of a faster thing and different chorus, and we ended up changing things around a little bit, and yeah, it became a big hit.
Well, when I was in high school, I always thought about that because I had a little garage band in high school, and I remember I was just like, well, Eve 6 wrote a pretty big hit in study hall. Pressure's on. I got to come up with something. And, I came up with a few tunes in study hall, nothing all that noteworthy, but, I made my attempts. Well, how would you say, like would have been kind of like the biggest changes you guys have seen in the music industry since you've been part of it?
Man, yeah, there's been so many. I mean, it's constantly changing, but I think that, some things good, some things bad, but in the era when we came out, I mean, there was, at least not at the beginning, there was no real like internet, like, social media or anything like that. You had a website, but that was about it. And, labels sold CDs at $14.99 a pop. So there was a lot of the industry was really thriving at that time. Then everything sort of started to change around the second record when, Napster and all of this stuff happened, and a lot of the labels started to, conglomerate and go away and all that. So, I think that the downside is that, like, at least in the sort of mainstream, like major label music industry now, they're a lot less likely to take chances on things. They kind of want to see that something's already having success before they get behind it. But the cool thing is that, I mean, recording is different. You can make a record in your bedroom now. That sounds great. So I feel like in some ways, music has been a lot more democratized in that, it doesn't take $250,000 to make a record anymore. And you can, get on social media, you can, distribute it to iTunes and Spotify, you can set up your Bandcamp, you can do all that stuff. So, it's just a different world. Everything's digital now, and we're connected different. The way we make music is different. The way they sell music is different. But yeah, it's a whole new world.
Well, what's interesting, and the reason, like, I really wanted to ask you guys is because, like, our age group, we are that generation that is just old enough and also just young enough that we remember both worlds and we're very cognizant of both, and we don't necessarily have allegiance to either because we were like right in between. We remember like we know what it was like. Like, I remember what it was like in a pre-internet world trying to find music, and maybe you hear something on college radio that you connect with. I grew up on a lot of punk rock. I would go, remember the compilation CDs where you would go and you would buy those for like $2, and then you would fill out the form of the bands you liked and get their album in the mail. And that was actually a really cool experience. Like, that was a really special thing. And then the internet came and did make all of that infinitely easier. On the other side of it, like, a lot of the tastemaker venues and stuff like that you used to rely on, all of a sudden that kind of became oversaturated because the barrier of entry became non-existent. And, one of my buddies who, played in a band for years and years, the way he put it, he's like, dude, every 16-year-old with a driver's license and a guitar was on tour all of a sudden. So, there was kind of this, yin and yang to it,
Absolutely. It's just like with anything in life. I mean, it's, it's definitely, the market is saturated for sure. There's no doubt about that, you know. But
Yeah,
I remember
a lot of artists who, without the help, you know, the ease with which that you can record and a lot of times kind of filter over the blemishes. You know, I feel like there are maybe people doing it now because they have sort of the help from, you know, Pro Tools or whatever the medium might be. So that probably adds to the saturation, and maybe you get more good, you get a lot more awful, you know.
So you guys said you were radicalized a little recently. You mentioned that, you know, a couple times if we've been talking. What radicalized y'all?
I mean, I think for me it was sort of you know, I guess it was around 2016 as other Bernie Sanders came around, and you know, that I think after the 2020, for me personally, after the 2016 election, I was just kind of like, what the fuck happened? You know, like how did this happen? And it was at that time
I think
that
you were
really
the only one.
Yeah,
you were. Everyone else was like, this is normal.
Yeah, totally. I think it was around that time that you know, I mean, because I've always been on the left. I mean, you know, I've always been anti-war, anti-imperialism, like all these things. But it was at that time that I really started to focus on, like, you know, what was actually going on, you know, and listening to alternative opinions, and you know, not being as passive about politics as I had been maybe in the past, and that just sort of led me down a path of, like, you know, really taking a hard look at how our government is set up, and what they are doing and what they aren't doing, and who it's being funded by, and you know, how, I mean, just all those things, you know, and then watching what happened, you know, to Bernie Sanders a second time, just really took me down that, you know, that path of, like, well, you know, we're not going to fix this from within, you know, and that's what really took me on a journey even more left. So, you know, I think for whatever criticisms we might have of Bernie right now, and you know, the way things went, I really do credit him with setting people on a path, a lot of people on a path that took them a lot more left than even he is, you know. But I think that was sort of the intention, you know.
2016, I think for me too, like, exposed the Democratic Party, you know, for what it is also, or at least in a way, you know, I was probably unenlightened as to just what, like, sort of an empty vessel it was, and like no more, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and I completely agree with what you both just said, because for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, Bernie Sanders has certainly made some mistakes, definitely, but you know what he did, and part of this was just right place, right time, and you know, he didn't want to do it. Like that's like in 2016, he didn't want to run. He's like, I'm an old socialist. I don't want to run. Liz Warren, what about you? And she's like, nope, it's Hillary's turn. And everyone else, it was like, it's Hillary's turn. And he was the only guy who was like, we can't go to the right of Obama. After Obama won in a landslide on a center-left platform, delivered at best a center-right one. I think that's being generous, calling it a center-right one. It was a complete disappointment. It led to Trump. We can't run someone to Obama's right, Hillary. That's what Bernie was saying. So he's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. And when he did, in that, you know, rhetorical moment, or whatever you want to call it, he made, I think, a lot of people who think like we do, at least this was my personal experience with it, he made us realize, oh, we're not as alone as we thought we were.
Right.
more of us than we realize.
Yeah,
you know,
like a political figure who wasn't a narcissist. I mean, that in and of itself is like it not me, us, you know, wasn't just a soundbite. It's like, yeah, he you know, he was the symbol, and he was, you know, fine. Like when if he had one or whatever, it's like it wasn't a cult of personality, and it wasn't, well, I guess maybe in some sense it was, but it wasn't about him. It was about his policies, and that's, I guess, what, you know, annoyed a lot of people also, was that it was just about the policy, and they found him, for whatever reason, you know, aesthetically unappealing or too loud or whatever else. But it was because it wasn't about the personality. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't in the business of like self-aggrandizement, like you said. He didn't, you know, sort of a reluctant hero, you know.
I think that's the way it should be all the time. I mean, I after this whole experience, being 2016 to present, and what's going on electorally, and just how, because the other thing, you know, Max, you mentioned the Democratic Party. You know, for me personally, you know, I woke up politically my first year of college because people I knew and classmates of mine were getting sent to Iraq, and I had no clue why. I was like, why are we? I get it that they attacked us on 9/11, but Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with that. Why are we trying to police the world? And then I kind of woke up and realized, oh, wait, that's what we do. We're an empire. We have an economy based around war. This is really freaking gross. I'm going to read this Noam Chomsky guy. I'm never going to sleep the same again. That's what happened for me, you know? And so I never felt this kinship towards the Democratic Party. I never felt like this is where I belong. I felt like, well, those other guys are fascists. These guys seem a little open to the type of change I want to see in the world, I think. Then I learned, oh, wait, all of my worst suspicions about these guys are true. Everything that I thought could be as bad about them is true, to the point
in a way worse, because it's disingenuous. It's the illusion of something. It's cosmetic, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like at least Republican hawks are like owning it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mask on, mask off for sure.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, it's all those memes you see where it's just like the Republican is just like, hey, go die, poor person, and the Democrat is like go die gently or something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of really funny ones. I can't think of a particular, for instance, but so what do you guys, as far as the band is concerned, what is going to be next from you, you know, in this pandemic age? Is a new album coming before the tour or after the tour, or to be determined?
Yeah, we actually have a new EP that's done. We had finished it right before pandemic started, and so again, we were gonna do this 20th anniversary tour, sort of do some of the throwback stuff, and then after that, we were gonna do some new music. But at this point, since who knows when that's going to happen, we're gonna move forward with new music. So we're just getting the sort of the details set up right now, and you know, hopefully in the next month or two, we're going to start putting some stuff out. So we have that EP done, and then we'll probably follow it up with an album. We'll see how that goes. But at this point, we have nothing else to do but get together and write music. So,
and you guys, so how old were you guys when you formed the band? I mean, I know it was very young, but like, how old were you guys?
I mean, the first sort of version of the band, which morphed, you know, I mean, we were 9th grade, so I don't know. What were you?
That's incredible.
Max is a lot older than me.
I'm a lot older than John.
By 1 year exactly.
Yeah, my birthday is August 28th. His is August 27th. I'm exactly a year older, but we were the same grade. Yeah, we started, I think, the first grade of the band. Yeah.
So that's just so impressive that it's like you're able to work together creatively as you're also figuring out who the hell you are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, no one knows who they are in 9th grade, really. I mean, I guess a couple, but no one really does. So it's like you're figuring all that out while still maintaining a very important creative relationship. You guys have probably never argued.
I mean, there's definitely been plenty of like, we grew up together, we succeeded together, we failed together. You know, there's a, you know, a brotherhood type of bond with us that's deep. And maybe there is some, you know, zodiac stuff going on, you know what I mean? Some Virgo power, I don't know. But yeah, you know, we share something together that we don't share with anyone else. So, and we work great together, and frankly always did. You know, it's like John and I started the band, and we had a few different drummers in the beginning. But yeah, we always sort of had, I don't know, we work well together.
Well, that's awesome, man. So anything else you guys would like to plug before we dismount here?
I don't think so. I mean, just, you know, keep an eye out for some new stuff, and whether it be us or any other band, you know, buying merch, going to people's band camp, going, you know, all that kind of stuff, even streaming, even though we don't get paid enough. Even streaming helps support the band. So I'm not even saying it as much for us, but just in general, try to find those ways that you can directly support bands. If they're doing live stuff, like donate to them on Venmo. It goes straight to them. It's not going through a promoter and a, you know, like that. And you know, that stuff goes a long way right now, because I mean, I know for us and a majority of other musicians, I mean, you know, a major portion of our income comes from touring, and that's just not there for us or for anyone. So any way you can find to directly support bands, buy t-shirts, you know, whatever, is extremely helpful right now. So
comedians too.
Comedians too. Exactly.
Thank you.
So, honestly, yeah.
Well, yeah. Hey,
honestly,
man,
artists, everyone. You know, I mean, it's
Well, if you make a comedians bureau in the union, let me know, man. I'll hop in too. I'll be part of the team.
For sure. You and Lee Camp need to start a comedians union together.
You know, there have been attempts, and this would have actually been, I think, before both of our times. Well, yeah, because we're around the same age, so it would have been before both of our times. This would have been in like the early 90s or something, where they tried to do that, and it didn't come to fruition. And, you know, I won't bore you with all the details about comedy anatomy, but it is one of the only industries, and musicians have faced something similar, where like the pay scale has literally from the 80s to now gone down. Where because the difference is in comedy, like we still have like a commodity element to it that music just doesn't have, because it's just so much more fast. Like there's no such thing as a music club per se. There's like a folk club or a jazz club or a punk club or whatever else, or just like, you know, a draw that people know. And like in comedy, we're starting to become that. Like that's starting to happen, where like different comedians are known for different things, and they have YouTube shows or whatever else. But like there's still like the comedy club where people will go to see somebody they've never heard of, and you kind of just get paid a set fee. Those fees have literally gone down numerically from the 80s to now. And there's a number of reasons for it. But one of the reasons was we just did nothing to protect ourselves. Like we did nothing to protect ourselves. So
it's tough. I mean, it's like the same type of thing as music, where there's a lot of competition because it's so hard to make a go of it in the business. And so because of that, there's all this competition between bands, between comedians, like who's going to get the better slot, who's going to get the better, you know, special or whatever it is. And it makes it really hard to come together and you know, do collective action. So hopefully that's something that comes out of all this on both ends of it.
You mentioned rival.
Are you saying that egos are
I guess I should have. I used the wrong word. I should have said ego.
I just don't believe it.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
It's only politicians that do that. Artists, we're flawless.
Now we're clean.
Yeah.
We are
Flawless.
totally
Nothing problematic about artists.
Yeah, just 100% just benevolent, all altruism all the time.
bastions of integrity 100% of the time. Guys, thanks so much for doing this. It was so awesome to talk and connect with you guys. I really
Likewise.
appreciate everything you're doing. Guys, check out Eve 6. You know them. Check out their music. They got some new stuff coming out. And check out UMA, the unionofmusicians.org. And again, saveourstages.com. Please do check that out as well.
Yep.
Over the Road Trucker. Thank you for the super chat contribution. You keep this show on the air. Snipes is gone, but is their paper ballot cheating machine still in place? ? I think that's probably in regards to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And yeah, they do have a lot of election integrity issues in South Florida. They got it all over the country, but in South Florida, they set a special bar. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow, right?
Anywhere she's at the helm, there's election integrity issues.
Yeah, no kidding. So we'll keep track of it tomorrow night, and we can start a text thread that will hopefully end in like, yeah, we did it, and not like, shit. But I mean, either way, I'm gonna have some whiskey. But it's hopefully it'll be celebratory whiskey tomorrow night. So thank you for that super chat contribution. You keep this show on the air, and guys. Happy Black Cat Appreciation Day again, and best wishes to what are the dogs? What's the dog's name again, John?
Ziggy.
Yeah. Safe recovery, buddy. Be well, and tell them they got to let you do the low harmonies. It's not fair. Why should they? We're just talking about egos. Why do only they get to do the harmonies? You should do the low one.
I know. Because then he's going to want writing credit, and we don't really want to cut him in on that. I mean, it's a whole
thing. We have to do these interminable, band meetings that are just very long. And,
tense.
A lot of tension, a lot of high stress and tension.
Hey, at least you guys aren't a third wave ska band. There's only 3 of you.
That's good. It could be worse.
And Max, what are the cats' names?
Well, Max and Marcus. Happy Black Cat Appreciation Day to all animals. It applies to all dogs and cats alike. And again, LucyandRon.com if you want to check out some Lucy and Ron comics for this Black Cat Appreciation Day. And guys, thank you guys again so much for doing this. We'll be back tomorrow. John F. O'Donnell joins the show, a very funny comedian. John F. O'Donnell joins the show. And then Wednesday, Fiorella from the Convo Couch, who's down in South Florida now. She's covering the event. So hopefully Wednesday morning, Fiorella and I are having a celebratory episode. We'll see, but she's down in South Florida. So either way, we're going to hear about what goes on in South Florida for Jen Perlman. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you again, Eve 6. You guys know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace. We'll see you tomorrow.